This is The Wire for 2230 Zulu, August 12th, 2024. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2130. Bottom line up front. Kursk offensive continues. Unrest in the United Kingdom remains constant. Western powers continue to escalate tensions in the Middle East. Beginning with international events, in Eastern Europe, a fire broke out at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in central Ukraine over the weekend, prompting much confusion about the incident. Russian forces claim the fire was the result of Ukrainian shelling, whereas Ukrainians claim that Russian soldiers set fire to a pile of rubber tires underneath one of the cooling towers. Analysts comment. Neither side has provided evidence of their claims, though the fire has since been extinguished. Personnel at the IAEA did note that they received a report of a drone attack on the facility, but that no impact has been reported for nuclear safety. In Russia, the Kursk offensive continues as before, with neither Ukraine nor Russia providing much concrete data with which to determine frontline positions. Analysts comment. While the current front line remains debatable, what is far more clear is that Ukrainian units, of debatable size, composition, and combat power, almost certainly have more freedom of maneuver within Russia's rear areas than Russian forces would like to admit. Conversely, the forces dedicated to such a large offensive results in questions related to the other fronts, which have largely been locked in stalemate for many months. In Western Europe, the European Union has written a public letter to Elon Musk personally threatening him and his company, Twitter or X, with legal consequences for any offensive content that might arise from Donald Trump during his upcoming interview on the platform. In the United Kingdom, unrest and violence continues as before. Yesterday, a stabbing attack occurred in Leicester Square, wounding a woman and an 11-year-old girl. The assailant was detained at the scene. Police have not released any images of the attacker. In the Middle East, preparations for a widening war continue to be made by all parties, despite widening and contradictory assessments regarding Iran's potential counterattack. Hezbollah conducted a few rocket attacks over the weekend, continuing the trend of harassing fires. On the home front in Washington, D.C., Pentagon statements over the weekend confirmed an increased level of forces within the Middle East. Secretary of Defense Austin has ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group to make all sail for the CENTCOM AOR, making haste for the transit to the eastern Mediterranean Sea. The Pentagon has also ordered the USS Georgia, SSGN 729, to the region. These forces complement the USS Wasp ARG, currently in Port Cyprus. Analyst comments for this wire. Though an interview with a politician is something that ordinarily would be squarely within the political realm, an exceptionally large international organization such as the EU becoming involved in a minor interview highlights the priorities that some European nations place on censorship and limiting access to information. In Russia, much confusion and contradiction remains in Kursk. As the Ukrainian advance largely was conducted with light reconnaissance units and lightly armored vehicles, Ukrainian forces have been spotted deep in Russian territory, possibly as far north as Semenovka. However, the real concentration of Ukrainian forces is largely still located within a few kilometers of the border. This is a major factor contributing to contradictory reports. Certain Ukrainian units can claim that they are in a certain location, but due to only being a light recon force, they have no ability to hold that position. Conversely, Russian forces can ignore recon elements in their press briefings, or even more deceptively label larger armored columns as recon units, so as to downplay the threat. Though there is some strategic value in choosing to focus on the main axis of advance instead of highlighting a Ukrainian recon team of one or two guys on a motorcycle, confusion is the result in any case. In short, Ukraine can claim they occupy a location, while Russian forces claim the Ukrainians aren't there, meaning that they aren't there in force. Asking both parties for amplifying information usually reveals that the Ukrainians over-exaggerated the combat power a reconnaissance element possesses, and the Russians downplayed the Ukrainian recon teams having freedom of maneuver behind their lines. This has been a standard tactic used on both sides during the war and highlights the value of properly geolocating imagery from social media. It is not sufficient to make broad claims from a single photo or geolocate one soldier or vehicle to one area. Photographic evidence, to be valuable intelligence, must aid in identifying the units and combat strength in a location. So far, both sides have produced little more than selfies at road signs, which has not entirely been of value for those seeking to determine where the front line is currently located. This concludes The Wire for 2230 Zulu, August 12, 2024.